the best dunker from every NBA team. I wanted to rank them all, but it would have been tough to rank 30 players based off either the dunks we've seen from them or their potential. So we're just looking at the best from nearly every team. And I say nearly because the Suns, Wizards, Mavs, and Warriors really don't have a great dunker on the roster, so I'm not going to include them. And Washington's spot would usually go to John Wall, but with everything he's going through, he might not be too great when he returns. So we're going to look at the best dunker on the rest of these teams, starting with John Collins on the Atlanta Hawks. And Collins has always been a great dunker, and an even better one off of alley-oops, pick and rolls, and fast breaks. And in those moments, he can throw it down with either hand, one or two-handed, and things like that earned him a lot of credibility. But after last year's dunk contest, he lost it all with that horrible plain dunk. It took like 10 minutes to set up, his outfit for it was hilarious, and he wrecked the entire plane. I mean, Blake Griffin jumps a car, and John Collins couldn't make it over this? He's Atlanta's best dunker, but from now on, let's just hope he stays away from the contests. Then the Celtics don't have anyone who's flat out known for dunking, but Jalen and Jason have both had their fair share of nasty throwdowns, with the most notable being Tatum's on LeBron in the 2018 playoffs. And with the race between both of these guys being so close, I think that's going to be the main thing that ranks Jason ahead of Jalen as the Celtics' best dunker. As for the Nets, their best dunker hands down goes to DeAndre Jordan. I mean, for one, all he does on offense is dunk the ball. But outside of an actual game, even though his 2017 contest appearance would say otherwise, he's still an insane dunker, especially for his size. I mean, if you've ever seen the videos of what he does in warm-ups, you'd know what I'm talking about. He can do windmill dunks, reverse windmills, one-handed clutch 360s, reverse between the legs, and 360 windmills. Oh yeah, and let's not forget about the Brandon Knight dunk. That still may very well be the craziest in-game dunk we've ever seen. Then a team not so fortunate with a great dunker is the Charlotte Hornets, who have Malik Monk without any real competition for this spot. Miles Bridges is solid in game, but that's it. His contest performance was pretty rough. Then we have the Chicago Bulls with Zach LaVine, and this is the one guy where nothing needs to be said. But there is something to be said about the Cavs and Larry Nance Jr., who came into the league as a deceptively good dunker. He's a guy that right off the bat you wouldn't really expect him to be able to do the things that he can. And unlike a lot of guys like that, he actually did put up a solid performance when he was in the dunk contest. But we all know that Nance's best moments have been in-game, with monster dunks on Brook Lopez and Kevin Durant in the past. Then the Nuggets are a team that have a few solid dunkers, in Jeremy Grant, Malik Beasley, and Will Barton. But even though we still haven't seen too much from him, from the footage that's out there, Michael Porter Jr. beats those guys out for this spot. I mean, for being 6'10", he can throw down some mean dunks. Plus, he can get his head over the rim, so I'm sure he's got a lot of other great things he just hasn't shown yet. And speaking of a 6'10" dude that can dunk, that leads us to the Pistons' best dunker, which is obviously Blake Griffin. There's no real competition for him on the team, but that's not surprising because he's still up there as one of the better dunkers in the league. He used to be thought of as the best dunker in the NBA for his 2011 contest performance and his insane poster dunks. But things have really slowed down for him. He barely dunks anymore, and a lot of guys are thought of to be better than him now. And while I'm sure he still has the ability to dunk like he used to, he's getting older and he just chooses not to anymore. Then for the Houston Rockets, it was a tough one between Russell Westbrook and Gerald Green. And while Gerald will go down as one of the best dunkers ever, he's going on 34 years old, so this Rockets spot goes to Westbrook. People have wanted to see him in a contest for years, but I don't know if I've ever seen him do any type of fancy dunk, and I don't know if he has it in him. But he's still the Rockets' best dunker by far because he's made a name for having the absolute most vicious and aggressive dunks in the game. And the league's got another thing coming with the Grizzlies, whose new best dunker is Ja Morant, whose dunking ability may even turn out to be an improved version of Russell Westbrook's because Ja is also 6'3", but has a reported 44-inch vertical compared to Westbrook's 37-inch max jump. And Ja's only 20, he's still got plenty of time to get stronger, faster, and more athletic. And I say he's like Russ because they dunk in similar styles, nothing really too flashy or over the top, but power dunks coming full speed down the court. On the Indiana Pacers, it's without question that Victor Oladipo is the team's best dunker. And he's great all around. He's shown potential with in-game dunks and in the dunk contest. But I will say he's not really a good contest dunker. I mean, he barely made any of the dunks he attempted in both contests that he's been in. And arguably his most popular Black Panther dunk wasn't impressive aside from the mask. But he's still by far the Pacers' best. Then we have the Clippers with Paul George, and this is another one that's no contest. His signature dunk is really the 360 windmill between the legs, which is crazy enough, and he's done his fair share of dunking on people. But unfortunately, the NBA robbed us of seeing him in a contest when the only one he joined was the horrible one that they changed the format of back in 2014. Someone else we've also never got to truly see in a dunk contest has been the Lakers' best in LeBron James. People have wanted it to happen for years, and how could you not with all the dunks he puts on in warm-ups and practice? And that's not even to mention his dunk on Jason Terry that's gone down as one of the most disrespectful we've ever seen. Or the time he completely dunked over John Lucas in the middle of a game. It's sad though, James is going to go down as the best dunker who we've never really got to see his true potential. But I mean, I guess we've been lucky enough to be able to see what we did from him. Then the Miami Heat's best dunker is easily Derrick Jones Jr. And I don't know if he'll ever be a great player, but Miami's definitely doing the right thing by betting on him and refusing to trade him because he has so much potential. As a dunker though, he's already made it clear that he's a freak athlete and one of the best in-game dunkers out there. Something I'm looking to see a lot more from him this upcoming season. The Milwaukee Bucks best dunker beats out little competition with Giannis, who's dunked on just about everyone at this point. And if you thought LeBron jumping over a 5'11" John Lucas in game was impressive, let me remind you that Giannis dunked over 6'6" Tim Hardaway Jr. 2 seasons ago. And in terms of in-game dunking, Giannis definitely dunks the most often and is easily the best in-game right now. But let's not overrate him, because if you remember when he was in the 2015 dunk contest, you know it was rough. His first dunk was a normal alley-oop that he couldn't even make, and his second was an alley-ooped reverse dunk. So let's just hope he doesn't join another dunk contest. But then we switch gears to the Pelicans and Zion Williamson, who even though he hasn't played a game, deserves to be titled as a top dunker in the NBA. I mean, 285 dunking from the free throw line, hitting behind the back dunks, 360s and breaking backboards. And even through high school and college, we haven't seen him really dunk on anyone because no one's been crazy enough to step in front of him. But I feel like it's coming this season. Don't expect to see him in a dunk contest anytime soon though, because he's gone on record and said that he doesn't think he wants to join. But let's all hope he changes his mind. And that's because the Magic's best dunker is Eric Gordon, who has said he wants to participate again this year and called out Zach LaVine for a rematch. And if you add Zion to what was one of, if not the greatest contest ever, that's big time history being made. And speaking of that original contest, I mean, those dunks were insane. We haven't really seen any big time dunks from Aaron Gordon in game, which is pretty surprising, but he still proved that he's right behind LaVine as the best dunker in the NBA. The New York Knicks then have an underrated dunker in Dennis Smith Jr., who, believe it or not, has an incredible 48-inch max vertical, which ties the record for the highest ever recorded at the draft combine. And the only reason he didn't go further in the 2018 dunk contest was because he couldn't make his first dunk. The Oklahoma City Thunder's best is Hamidou Diallo, who's your reigning dunk contest champion, and that elbow dunk over Shaq is one of the most impressive dunks in a long time, and he was able to do that thanks to his 44.5-inch vertical. As we know though, just because he's a great dunker doesn't mean he'll be successful in the league, so let's just hope he can put together a solid career going forward. Someone in an opposite position though is Ben Simmons for the 76ers, who's an okay dunker, but so far has had a great career early on. And I had to put him as Philly's best dunker because there really wasn't too much to choose from. And while he may dunk often, I still haven't seen him do anything too impressive. And that's surprising based on the fact that he's 6'10" with a 41-inch vertical. The Portland Trailblazers' best then goes to Damian Lillard. And Portland doesn't have any great dunkers besides Dame, but honestly, he's very underrated in that category because he doesn't dunk very often, and at first glance, doesn't seem like he'd be able to like he can. But when he does, it's in a huge way. I mean, all the ability's there, and he showed that in the 2014 contest with some nice 360s and between the leg dunks. Then the Spurs' best dunker is someone who's always been known to be great in that category, in DeMar DeRozan. And especially early on, he was always known as one of the better in-game dunkers in the NBA. And he even had some impressive dunks in the 2010 and 11 dunk contests. And as for the Raptors, their best dunker is Pascal Siakam. And there's not too much to be said here, besides the fact that the Raptors have no other good dunkers on the roster, and even though he doesn't do anything fancy, Pascal became a near elite finisher at the rim this past year. Then we're finishing things off with two of the best dunkers in the league, with the Utah Jazz having Donovan Mitchell, who's a former contest champion. He's an all-around athlete with a 40-inch vertical and is without a doubt Utah's best dunker and probably top 5 in the NBA right now. Then last up is the Timberwolves with Andrew Wiggins. And because of how disappointing things have been for him, I feel like people forget just how good this man can really dunk. I mean, it's not our fault for forgetting though, because we haven't gotten to see much from him in that category since he was in high school. But even though people love to hate on him, there's no denying that he's still one of the best pure athletes out there and has the potential of a top 3 or 4 dunker in the league right now. And that's everyone, which is going to wrap up the video. Don't forget to comment and leave your thoughts, like and subscribe if you enjoyed, and I'll catch you next video.